Hello, and in this video we're going to be looking at the Toshiba V5470. I've had this machine 7 years, and my goodness, I have been so looking forward to doing this machine. When I first acquired it 7 years ago, it's like, oh yeah, I love these machines. They are fantastic. Reason I like them, I love the LCD clock display. Which is great and really very advanced for its age, and just the very solid build of it. And with the Toshibas, you get the lovely wood effect. How cool is that? The machines I worked on back in the early 90s, and it is, gosh, it's probably actually 1989, 1990, the last time I worked on one of these. They were the Bush variant. I will look up the number. And they were all grey, and it's not nearly as nice as this. I mean, I'm not actually a fan of wood paneling and fake wood and the like, but for these, I just think it really sets them off so nicely. I just think they look so nice. Yeah, really very excited to get this one going. The other thing that's a bit interesting about them is the RF output is really high. So much so that you can sort of fabricate an aerial and use it as a local transmitter. So you can transmit video through your house. Might have a go at that later as we sort of get this thing going. I have powered it up for the first time actually last night, and it's dead. I've never powered this machine up in all the time I've had it since I collected it, and thought, well, I'll just see what it does. And it does nothing, which is probably a good reason why the tape is still in there, and it appears to be laced. It looks as if it failed, went dead while it was playing or recording or whatever. There is also a problem, which is fairly common on these, I think, at this sort of age. I noticed looking at other videos. Basically the sliding rods that these attach to, they need re-greasing, cleaning up and re-greasing, so we'll do that. Got a belt kit, new old stock belt kits. I actually bought a few of these because these belts are actually quite useful for other machines, especially that big belt, which actually fits the loading belt for the C5 and C7, the Sonys. So that's a top tip. But there are belts in there that are actually useful for other decks. You know, you've got the capstan belt and this very large flat belt as well, which ordinarily are quite difficult to get hold of. So if you see these, it's worth picking them up if you sort of like me, like messing about with these things. The other thing that I quite like about these, or is an oddity, is this thing, which is a way of venting the heads, getting some more air around the heads. If it's like a heavy dew situation, I think they do have, I'm not sure they actually have a dew indicator. I have to look at that. I had a feeling the Bush ones did. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, I'll look at that. But yeah, you could take that off and feed some air in. I seem to remember using a hairdryer once on a low setting to dry it out before playing a tape after it'd been off for a while. Don't really supposed to do that. But yeah, I was young and impatient then. So yeah, let's take it apart and have a look. So it's actually failed while starting to load, which is really interesting actually, that it's failed there. Yeah, so it's not actually managed to load. The pinch roller is totally and utterly not happy. I mean, it might be able to clean that, but I think I have another anyway, so I'll just change it if I have. If I haven't, then I'll give it a good clean. Otherwise, it has got a bit of dust in it. Tiny bit of corrosion, but not much. So it's going to need a jolly good clean through. Just looking at fuses. You never know, it might just be like a soft blown fuse from age. Fuses can just break. The stress that's across them over time, they're flexing and they'll eventually just go. So yeah, does bring back a few memories. And surface mount chip there. It's a bit cool, especially for the time. Get a bit of an indication of how bad it is from the belt. How bad the rest of the belts are going to be. I can see a belt down there that's still on. I'm hoping it's not so much like the... looks a bit bad. I'm hoping it's not so much like the 8600s and indeed the 9600 Toshiba machines that invariably have belts that have gone back to their natural rubbery state and just a load of gloop. Yeah, that would be really good if they're not like that, but interesting. Okay, so I thought the first thing I'd do is just put the meter across it. It's got a transformer, so I would expect to get something. Just double checking the main switch is on to set to 240, just in case somebody did something funny and that's why the fuse blew. Nothing at all. That's completely open. Yeah, completely and utterly open. Okay, so we'll just check the obvious. Just see if there is actually check the plug. See if there is actually a proper fuse in there. There's 13 amp fuse in there. It's a good start, isn't it? Yes, that's fine. It's actually not too bad. Badly put on it, apart from having a 13 amp fuse. Okay, so next thing is take the screws out. Now, why do I feel like that isn't the right screw? I think they should be, well, yeah, I mean these screws are different anyway, so but I don't think they should be self-tappers. I think they should be black screws right the way through. Like that. to take the bottom off. Yes, you do. Okay, so that's off. Now I seem to remember if you take this screw out, it slides forward and it comes out. That's good. Now a slight thing that concerns me is if the mains fuse is gone, does that mean we have a bad transformer? Let's have a look. Yeah, mains fuse is gone. Okay, so let's pull this panel down, which, I don't know, looks like someone's been in here as well. I don't think this is going to be a case of soft blow either. I think this is going to be a case of something is definitely wrong with it. Yeah, the mains capacitors smoked. I would say that's probably what the fault is. So let's put that up. Yeah, so I'm not getting dead short, that's good. And probably that capacitor's burnt and just gone open circuit, so we can hope. What value is that? 500 milliamp, okay. I've got 500 milliamp. Might have to rob one from somewhere. To be fair, I am half tempted to run it without that for now. And just see what else is wrong with it. If anything. But that's pretty encouraging. While I wait for my iron to heat up, it won't take long. Let's check these other fuses. I would be very surprised if that transformer is bad. I've never known them go bad in Toshibas, but it's old, so anything's possible. Dead short on the secondary, maybe. Whoops, gosh, that was good, wasn't it? Nice scratch across the board. So put my iron back out of the way, don't want to be burning myself on that. So let's have a look. quite annoyed I scratched that board. It's looking rubbish now. Typical. Whoa! Eager. Ah, but what's that? What I was saying about the capstan belt being hopefully still intact, it's actually completely fallen apart and left gooey, horrible, nasty stuff everywhere, and yeah, it's covered in mould. All the rest of the belts, there's round belts on there, that shouldn't be there. So obviously someone's changed the belts on this at some point. That's that longer flat belt. More belts under here. Exciting stuff. Round belts, interesting. Interesting choice. Obviously whatever's to hand. And invariably back, I don't know, the 90s maybe? I don't know, I think he had it a fair old time in storage. I mean, this machine hasn't been powered up for years. Yeah, I'm just struggling to remember if there was a belt on there as well. I think there was. I don't think they used a belt on here. So I don't know. Anyway, I'll have a think about that. I just can't remember. Capstan. So, because the drive actually comes from the capstan belt to the wheels, it goes to a little pulley which you won't be able to see. But I'll show you when I do the belts. Sounding encouraging, but it does look, because there's residue, there's rubber residue in there. It does look like something was around there. But I don't remember from back in the day there being a belt around there. Anyway, cross that bridge when we get to it. Let's unload this tape. So loading motors here. Turn it that way to unload. The easiest thing to get to are these reinforcements, which of course you must never, ever, ever, ever remove, because the whole machine will fall apart. Because it's made from really, really soft materials, of course. And these things are tanks. We've got to do it a bit quicker now. Of course, I suppose I could have just disconnected the connector that goes to the motor and run it on a power supply or a battery or something, but this is more fun. What isn't there to love about getting injuries from these things? Yeah, it's still taking up. Now what will be interesting is what happens when it gets to the end of the unload. Right, so that's let's get rid of that gunky rubbishy stuff. So that's now wound back in. Oh. Magic. And looking at it all, it actually looks not too bad. It's quite clean. Oh, plastic's broken at the front. That's fine, I can repair that. Just noticed that was loose. Yeah, it's not bad. So I suppose let's stick that through a winder and see what was on it. Cleaning winder. Yeah, so there we go. So far, so good. I'd like to think that fuse will be all okay now. I've taken that cap out. And so I have another cap, slightly higher voltage rating. It should, though, hopefully physically fit. We'll see. It's a bit tight. It fits. That's fine. Okay. My trusty old solder from the 90s. And I also have a new fuse. Wasn't sure if I had 500 milliamp slow blows. The easiest thing to get out. T500 slow blow. Oops. Okay. Cable getting caught. There we go. No polarity on that capacitor, of course. So, don't have to worry too much. Which way did that go? It went that way. Yeah. Super. So, let's start on these belts. Drag the mat, rather drag this up, see a bit better what's going on. There we go. So the first thing I'm going to do is take this capstan out. Yeah, I really want to get out, don't I? Let's stiffen that off a little bit more. It has actually got the ability to slide out without taking the whole the screw right way out. But because there's a cable tie, cable management, bottom edge, that sort of makes it a bit more difficult to do. And yeah, I was double checking. I couldn't remember if there is actually any sort of washers on the top end of the capstan, but there isn't, which is actually really useful to know. You can just literally just pull this out and it's fine. Nothing's going to drop out, nothing's going to go horribly wrong. The actual capstan looks fairly okay. Obviously needs a clean. But we've got this fun stuff with the belts. I've never seen a belt go like that before. So I'm going to clean that up. Then we'll put it back in and put a belt on it, and then we'll do the rest of the belts. So that's all cleaned up now, looking a lot better. Just put a little scratch there, but that's fine, that's not going to cause any issues. Giving it a good clean as well, isopropyl, and yeah, good to go. Let's pop that in. I'll whip this belt off as well, which actually doesn't feel too bad. I think, to be honest, I think it was bodged, just sort of like, not in a bad way. But yeah, I think it was just bodged to get it going. It's really dirty. So just clean the pulley on the motor. Spider's nest. What I do is clean it with Brasso. And then I give it a clean off with isopropyl, just to get rid of any chemicals left by the Brasso, because it does leave residue, but it is also very effective at returning stuff to a good serviceable condition. Lovely. Right, so I'm happy with that. So 2 flat belts, smaller one and large one. Smaller one is for the capstan. Pop that on. Oops. I always do that. I always get it caught around the middle. Then this belt, but before we put that belt on, you need to get this belt off. And this one might be a bit trickier. So yeah, so that's a round belt. That's the difference. It's not bad, but it's a little bit bigger than it should be. And then there's this belt here. As well. So that's got to come off as well before you put the other belt on. Which is that one, which it looks as if it's just starting to go a little bit dodgy. So, yeah, difference in belts. So feed that over the top of the bigger pulley of the two. And it rests on the smaller pulley below and then stretches over. It's looking good. And then this one goes down here. Trick I've found, if you hold the belt in such a way that it's actually quite rigid and formed, you can just feed it round or feed it through places that ordinarily are pretty inaccessible. Oh, I've not got that right. I've not got it in the pulley properly. Yeah, I actually missed the pulley. So there we go, that's working. Then we have, the loading belt's very small on me, it's very thin. Then we have this belt. So this is the longer of the flat belts. A bit of ice profile on there, that's fine. And then we've got the fun of the loading belt. So, loading belt, you can see it's not happy. It's actually, even that's got a sheen to it. It's not, it's got a stretch to it, but it's not the best. So, I don't know why I'm even surprised at that. I'm always tempted to remove the bottom board altogether because it's so easy to do. There's just a couple of, what is it, four connectors. Easy enough. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I think, is take this board off, even though I said, well, it's not a good idea to do it. It's actually fine. And that will give me a chance to get rid of the rest of the belt that's fallen off. So I'll do that in a minute. Not very exciting. And if I turn this round or over, I'll find that the belt's gone. No, it hasn't gone. So, because when it's the other way round, I'm fighting against gravity. Somewhere I do actually have a manual for this, a proper original printed manual for it. No idea what that is. I'm terrible at losing manuals. Why has that decided to get kept around there? Oh, well, that's annoying. Can't actually see, which is a bit of a problem because I've got a light. Pain, because that was actually really simple. I was almost there, and then it all went wrong. So I couldn't see what I was doing. Simple as that. So, yeah, that's on. Cool. Okay. Now, one thing I did notice, when I said there wasn't any sort of dust cover on the capstan, there is. There is a dust cap that needs to go on the bottom, as viewed from the top of the capstan. So, of course, it's completely the wrong way round to do that. So let's turn it round. Can I do it without upsetting the belt? To be fair, I'll just take the belt off again. Right, so that's on. And let's tighten this up. Whoops. I have to put it in the right place. This is tricky to get the screwdriver in there. I mean, this is a little bit too big really to fit in there comfortably. So yeah, we're back together. Push it back on. Big concern, this belt is trying to run a little bit off the flywheel there. I don't know quite why it should want to do that, but I'm going to risk it. I'm only testing it at the moment because it'll have to come apart again, because I have to clean up all of these. You can actually see the grease has gone really just horrible. And that will probably be enough. I don't need to put the other one in at the moment because, like I say, I have to take it apart again anyway. So we've got 2 belts left. So those are on the top, so we'll do those later. The thing I really want to know is, does it work? Will it even power up? Let's get rid of this mess. So new fuse in there, everything's hunky-dory. Might have to put the top on the plug. Might be an idea. I'm not going to worry about the mains fuse at the moment. I'll probably put a new plug on it, to be honest. Although I do like these MK plugs, they're really just so cool. So get some power. On the back, I think. Yeah. 240 volts. We have a clock. We have a clock. Lovely. So let's get my blank cassette. My blank cassette is actually blank. Nothing. That's quite funny. So there's nothing telling it to load. I wonder if that's because I'm not getting full voltage. Stand by. Yeah, I mean, it's coming on. So the clock, fine. I don't know why that's important. I just wonder if the tape-in sensor or switch is actually not working properly. And that's all it is. I'd like to think that's all it is. It doesn't feel like there's anything actually at the bottom of it, which it could be something to do with the fact that there's been a tape in there for probably 15 or 20 odd years. Okay, well that's fun. So I have to have a look at that. Okay, so I've worked it out. The actual thing that I was pressing down, which you can't really see, is purely to lock the top loading system. The actual loading is a separate little metal assembly, which is at the front, right at the front of the carriage, the basket, which is probably why this isn't working. So find what it is. There we go. So there's actually the plate, the decorative plate or the cover plate underneath the tape is actually loose, and that's actually causing problems with wind and rewind. Rewind's actually fine. I need to put a bit of grease in that. The rest of it seems fine. The idlers seem okay as well, although I do actually have tyres that will fit this. So I'll put new tyres on it. The heads are... the head drum is running beautifully. And yeah, I'm actually really surprised and pleased. It's actually been a fairly low impact type of repair so far. Obviously I haven't plugged it into a monitor, I haven't tried it. So yeah, but it's playing, I can see the pinch rollers moving. So yeah. So let's have a closer look at this. I mean, obviously the pinch roller definitely needs something done to it. I can't stay like that, but you can see there, because this plate is loose, it's causing the spool to ride up. So I mean, it is spinning, and to be fair, with the tape in, it would probably be fine anyway, but like a proper tape. So that's now playing. You can see the pinch roller turning there. I'm going to have to clean the caps down again, but hey ho, that's fine. So let's do an eject. That's crazy. So yeah. Now I always thought, I might be wrong, that there might have been a lamp that lit up the display when it was on, but I could be wrong. I'll have a look at that and yeah, we'll take it from there. But yeah, really pleased with that. So far, so good. Still have to fix that. Oh. Yeah, have to fix that. But yeah, so far, so good. So I have played a tape in it. I've recorded with it. I've also cleaned up the old tape that was in there, which is here. So it's looking a lot better. So I just ran it through the Utopia a couple of times with the cleaner on it, and that's come up nice. And this is actually a really cool tape. It's got lots and lots of TV recorded on it, mainly BBC, I think. Some ITV as well, so some adverts from about 1990 to 1994. It's got news on it as well, which is really cool. So yeah, we might have a look at that in a minute, see how we go. The actual deck itself is absolutely fine. Stop button, the grease that I put in has worked. But it took a while to sort of get sort of worked in, but it's fine. Occasionally it still sticks, but it's a heck of a lot better than it was. So the other problem I had, and I'd forgotten this, but every single one of these I've ever seen, and machines of a similar sort of age, this spring-loaded mechanism for the pinch roller seizes, the grease goes old. So I've re-greased this, worked it in, and it's now perfect. And that was causing a few problems with playback. It just didn't seem quite right somehow. So I've done that, and it's fine now. I don't know really why it should have any effect on playback, but anyway, it seems to have improved things. Also given the head drum a good clean. You can see there is wear. Top edge there is really quite shiny, but it has no effect on it working. It's working absolutely fine. Recordings are good for what it is, for its age. The audio is low, but another thing I seem to remember with these are like the tape recorders insofar as, or tape decks, they actually have a switch. When you press record, and I can demonstrate it, when you press record, you can see the levers are moving there, and they press against the end of the switch, which you can see sort of down there, that little white bit there. Anyway, those switches do actually play up, so I've given it a good clean, and I'm hoping that's going to be enough to bring back the audio. If it's not, what I'll do is I'll take the board out and just go through the audio section. But I think it'll be fine. Yeah, because I've done that before, and it seems to do the trick. Like I say, the last time I worked on these was like early 90s, maybe even late 80s. And they were having those problems then, so. You know, it's pretty cool that overall this machine is very, very healthy. So yeah, really, really pleased. But the next thing now, I do actually have 2 more belts to change, and these are fairly unimportant belts, I suppose you could say. They're the belts that go to the tape counter. So to get to be able to change those, I have to take the front off, which is 4 screws under there somewhere, and there. Take it off, give it all a good clean, inspect it, make sure it's all okay, then we'll change the belts. So that's the next thing. So taking off those 4 screws, and as you can see, it's still all attached. I've turned the power off now, and yeah, so it's a matter of just removing 2 connectors on the back of the clock module, and then the connectors that go or the connector that goes to the board there for the channel change buttons. So do that now. So that's the screw out. Let's just lift this off, and then the belt. I just wonder if I can do this one-handed. Okay, that comes out there. Hang in there. And then this belt. So it goes on the top pulley. I'm saying that more for my own own reference. Let's give this a little bit of a clean up. We'll actually give the whole thing a good clean in a minute off camera. So in fact, what I'll do is I'll give it a quick clean now, and then we'll put those two new belts on. So I've given it a bit of a clean, and I decided, and changed the belts, and I decided not to really go to town on it. So it's still got a little bit of grubbiness there, but it's not bad. The main reason I decided not to go to town on it just yet is, as I thought, the clock does actually have two strip filament lamps here and here, which are behind a metal shroud that goes around the LCD in there. So I'm going to investigate that. Possibly put warm LED versions there. I don't know. Haven't decided yet. It'd probably be better if they were LED, to be honest, because then you don't get the heat. But you know, it's just something I'd like to get going again, because I do vaguely remember them working on other machines. The Bush machines that I worked on back in the late 80s, 90s. So what's interesting is if I carried on, say I miss to get the time right and I have to go around again, it'll actually advance the hours, which is quite cool and slightly annoying. So yeah, this here as well, you have to work out exactly where it is positioned before you push it in, because it is literally, there's no datum to sort of set it in the correct position, so you have to work that out and make sure that you get it so it points to the right function relative to the position of the switch. So that's another thing to watch out for. Belts are easy, I've changed those, and screwed the plate back in. It's very easy to get to that, because with this open you actually get a long screwdriver straight down between here and here. Just go straight down, nice and easy, nothing clumsy. You don't have to take this off at all. So yeah, so there we go. So next thing, the tape that was in it. I'm only going to play a little bit of this. I have to say the quality is not that wonderful of the recordings on this tape. The recordings I made with this machine this afternoon, played back, and they are actually a lot better. Oh, what am I doing? Actually a lot better. Let's try that again. Yeah, that is fine. Oh, it's because right, let's do that again. So press it down. You press on the tape. It doesn't properly sense when the tape's down. So you have to do it by the actual mechanism, actual top loading mechanism itself. So let's go. So have to say the sound isn't very good on that. That might be something I'm going to have to investigate. Although if it was recorded on this, yeah, it probably was, wasn't it? I seem to remember. Let's turn that down. I seem to remember that it was okay in places. Yeah, might just have to have a look at that. Because I'm sure that sound was a lot better earlier, so whether it's a case of maybe the head just needs another good clean up, or there's something else. I mean, I've done a load of recording on it as a test, and now the sound isn't so good. So yeah, I think I'll have a look at that, and what I'll do is I'll actually stop this part now and do some work on the lamps, give it a good clean up, check out the sound, and then I'll do a follow-up video just going through the bits that I found with it. And you know, it's not really worthy of making a video of me actually going through it, because it would be hours long and wouldn't make a lot of sense, particularly because I'll just ramble on. So okay, well, that's it. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and take care.